Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let's continue for another topic in statistics. So we will go for introduction and descriptive statistics. Right, so this is the learning outcome. At the end of the topic, you can understand about the statistics, identify types of statistics, explain about descriptive statistics, and use SPSF software to measure descriptive statistics. And I hope that you can get the installer for SPSS so that you can use it for analysis part. Alright, so introduction to statistics. Okay, so when we talk about statistics, okay, you always heard about statistics. So when we talk about statistics, what will you understand? What is the first thing that come up into your mind? Okay, so when we talk about statistics, when you heard about statistics, you will identify, or inside of your mind maybe or might be, you will see a figures, a numbers, a tables, a graph, or and so on. All right, so actually statistics is a process of collecting a data, and after you had the data, we describe the data, and then we do interpretation, or we do interpreting the data. All right, so for example, from your class, okay, so we will do data collection. For example, I'll take about 20 respondents from your class, and then from data that we get, we try to describe. Mean that after we get the data, we analyze and identify that there are 15 male and 5 female in your class. So this is how we describe. Okay, and the percent maybe 80% is male and 20% is female. Okay, and then what will we do for interpretation? Okay, so how can we interpret the result? So based on the data that we get from your class, okay, we can interpret that majority of the respondent or majority of the student in the class are male compared to female. So this is the difference between describing and interpreting. So describing, you get the data, you describe, and interpreting, when you get the data and you interpret for the viewer more understand regarding the information that had been given by the output, right? So in using the statistics, you will learn to correctly analyze your data, to make inferential and also draw robust conclusion, right? Okay, so who will use statistics, all right? So there are a vast field that will use statistics. Okay, every single field I think will use statistics. Marketing, accounting, you are professional sport people and educators, and you are a student now. And then for next semester or another semester, that when you do your own research, you are a researcher. A researcher also need to use statistics, right? Okay, so there are some basic terms that you need to understand in statistics. So populations and samples. So what is population? Okay, have you heard about population? Okay, population is a collection or a set or individual or subject or even whose property are to be analyzed. So this is a big group of, okay, a big group of people. So a big group of target population or target people that you want to look into in your research. Okay, a sample is a subset of population. Mean you have a big group of population that you want to look into for your research, but you can't collect for the whole people, right? So that's why you need to take a sample from this population, and that sample must be represent for the whole population. So the information from that we get from or that sample must be subset of the population. Okay, and then that's why the sample must be represent to the population by using sampling technique. So this is the difference between population and sample. Population is a big group that you are looking into, and sample is a subset of population. A data, this is all data that you are collect based on this sample, not for the whole population, right? And then variable and data. Variable is a response variable or any characteristic of interest that you, a researcher, want from respondent, right? But a data, any information that a respondent give you. Right, so for example here, variable is any information that researcher want. For example, when you collect your data, you want to know about their gender, how many male, how many female, their ethnicity, and then their special education categories, right? But all information that the researcher give you, this number, this is the data, right? Variable, your what you want to know about your respondent, a data, what the feedback that the researcher had give, the respondent had give to the researcher, right? Okay, and then variable, there are two classification, categorical and numerical. Categorical, a variable that describe or categorize, okay, basically categorize, and for example, gender, okay, gender, they will have male and then female, so they have specific characteristic, okay, either you are male or female, all right? But for numerical, they quantify number, right? Quantify value, for example, age, weight, so you can put any values for numerical, so that's why quantify number. But sometimes numerical variable can also be transformed into categorical. For example, age, you can transform age from numerical into categorical. For example, you um, transform age from numerical variable into specific characteristic. For example, 20 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50. So they have the specific number, right? And then for categorical, there are nominal, ordinal, and numerical, there are interval and ratios. This is the scale of measurement, level of measurement. But I'm not going in depth into this scale of measurement. What is the most important thing that you need to understand regarding variable is the study variable, right? So study variable are relate into your research, right? So there are two types of study variable: dependent variable, your outcome, or independent variable, your explanatory variable, right? So in your study, you must verify your IV and DV. In your study, at least there are two: one IV, one DV, one outcome, one independent variable. Alright, so what is dependent variable? When we talk about dependent variable, depend, so mean that that variable are depend to others. So that's why dependent variable, the influence by others. Alright, so the influence by others. But independent variable, right? So independent variable mean that there's a variable that influence to others, right? So the influence to others. So this is the difference between these two: dependent variable or outcome variable that influenced by others, right? And an independent variable, variable that influence to others, right? So that's why you look at this arrow. So arrow will be from IV to DV, right? So this is example to research objective that you can look into. So regarding your research objective, you need to verify in your research objective, basically you have that variable, okay? You must have that variable. So for example, we are looking into the difference between football player and basketball player in relation to their leg power score. So based on this research objective, there are two variables. They are looking into football player and basketball player and leg power score. So there are two variables here: player, okay? So one is player. There are two categories, football and basketball, and another one is leg power score. Alright, so between these two variables, which variable that influenced by others, mean that the outcome, okay? Did football player influenced by leg power score, or leg power score influenced by player? So which one? Okay, so leg power score influenced by player. So different player will have different leg power score. If you are a footballer, so your leg power score will be different than basketball player, right? So leg power score is DV, and player is IV, right? Okay, so second example, the difference of job satisfaction between years of working experience. So we have two variables, job satisfaction and years of working experience. So between these two, which one is IV, which one is DV, right? So in some situation, job satisfaction would be your DV, alright? So how satisfy you with that job? It depends on the years of working experience. If you are working longer than others, so maybe you more satisfied or vice versa. Okay, but sometimes years also can be a DV, the outcome. Okay, so years of working experience, it depends on your job satisfaction. If you're satisfied with that job, okay, so maybe you will prolong your experience in working for that company. Okay, but for this kind of research, it depends on what you are looking into. Okay, basically sometimes you are looking into the outcome that you are looking into is job satisfaction. Okay, but sometimes if you are looking in your outcome, you are looking into the years of work experience, so the vice versa. So you will look into this objective. So are you clear with this? Alright, so now we proceed for classification of statistics. So in statistics, you will go in depth into two classification. There are two classification of statistics: descriptive statistics and inferential statistics, right? So they only have two statistics here, descriptive and inferential. So when we talk about descriptive, so descriptive means describe. Okay, so we describing, right? So we are describing what happened in particular study. So for example, we have collect the data and we are explaining or describing the data regarding the percent that we get, the mean value that we get, okay, and who is the higher, who is the lower. So this is the descriptive statistic. We are describing our sample of data, right? But for inferential statistic, information that we get from the sample, we must draw a conclusion, okay, and then we need to interpret the result that we get from the sample to the population. Okay, we must remember when we are doing our research, we have the target population that we are looking into. Okay, but when we collect our data, we just collect a sample. Okay, so a sample we just doing for descriptive statistic, and when we try to infer back to our population, we try to generalize the result that we get from the population, we must use inferential statistic, right? So there are two statistics, all right? So in our study, basically we are looking into the population. So this is our target, right? So for example, we are looking into the obese people, right? So our target is obese people. Okay, how many obese people in Malaysia? There are a lot of obese people in Malaysia, so we can't get through all the respondents for obese people. So what we will do, we do sampling technique and we just take a sample, right? But a sample must be same characteristic with a population. Okay, mean that the sample must be obese people. Okay, maybe their range age, is it the children, or to depend on the criteria that you are looking into, and then we are using sampling technique. Alright, so when we collect our data, we just based on sample, right? So this is our data, right? So this is our data. Okay, so we are doing descriptive statistic for our sample. Okay, so we are describing our sample. So we are producing for the mode, table, graph, frequency, median, mean. They depend on our data, right? Okay, but you can't stop analyze until descriptive statistic, because you have your target population. You have your target, all right? So you have your population that you are looking into. Sample only a few things that you are looking into based on that group only. But you have your population, so that's why you must infer the result that you get from the sample to the whole population. So that's why we are doing inferential statistics. Alright, so inferential statistics, there are two. Either you are doing for estimation, okay, we estimate the population, and hypothesis testing procedure. So there are two tests that we are doing for inferential statistics. So this is what you will do or you go through in statistics. Right, thank you.